Welcome back to Abled and Disabled. Today, we are going to talk to my mum, Heather, and my mum's friend, who is a registered nurse. The topic is their experiences with hospitals. My mum, about staying in the hospital with me when I was sick or needed to change my pump. Heather, well, I am unfortunately no stranger to hospitals with endometriosis, so her experience with staying with me as my wife when I get really sick or need surgery for it. Lindsay, she is a registered nurse, so we thought it would be great if she can talk about her experiences with being a registered nurse.
And Ellen is joining as well to share her experience.
Oh, did you not put...
This was before we asked.
Yeah, okay.
We are just going to have a big conversation. Let's go.
Alright, let's go.
Dive
right in there.
She put anything about me in there if you didn't.
No, she wrote it before we knew you were coming.
Well, where should we start? Where would you like us to start?
Like your pump surgery? Like what? Was it like staying in the hospital during that?
Maybe we should, why don't we dial it back even further, huh? To where you've got no memory. The first time you were in hospital, let's see, you were nearly a month old, I suppose. I guess being a baby, you didn't have to stay that often. Then we kind of moved forward to, you had actually some mouth surgery first, before you had the pump done. And actually you were really super funny because at one point you got so frustrated with being stuck in the hospital that you said to me, what's my signature? I want to sign myself.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, get me out of here. I suppose if I think back to those earlier surgeries and the times that you were sick, often it wasn't a particularly pleasant experience because you could, I put it in as me, would spend a week sleeping on a chair, just like a ordinary chair next to the bed. So I don't know if anybody's tried that, but try sleeping an entire week with the only thing a chair that you can put your head against the bed. So you don't kind of do too well after a while, and it also, I guess at the time, could become very expensive. So at that, I'm just thinking at that time, being a single parent for a while, it was actually something, if you think about when you go into hospital and the food that you've got is not coming from the grocery store, it's actually, the takeaway stores. So you're just constantly eating either out of the vending machine or the takeaway place, which is, 2-3 times more than if you went to the grocery store. And it also doesn't really make you feel too well as well. Or the alternative is you just don't eat very much. You try to avoid that as well, which also does not help the cause. So it's always was this, I think, overly exhausting experience. And I think the other problem is that when you're there and you've got all this time in the world sitting there and no doctor comes and talks to you, even though they say, oh yeah, we'll be around, and the nurses, I'll give it to them, they do try their best, But, you know, they'll say, okay, you know, they're doing their rounds this morning, and then it's like 9 o'clock at night and you still haven't seen anybody and you still don't know how things are going. And I know they're busy, but when you're sitting there and you've got nothing else to do but wait on them, it's a challenge. So that's one of them. Unfortunately, there are worse experiences, and sorry to say, Lindsay, but they happen to be very cranky nurses at night time who were just plain rude. And so at one point I used to just go in there and say, you know, if you bring me everything I need, just don't come unless there's something that you need to come for. I'll just take care of everything, because then that will just solve all the hassles.
Yeah.
Last time a nurse helped me with vomiting from going under.
Your last surgery. Yeah. They were like really good.
I've got to say, it's probably a bit better, but we're talking, you know, 25 years ago or so. The Children's Hospital, I'm not sure if Westmead had been done then. I think it was pretty new, the Westmead Children's Hospital. But yeah, they definitely weren't particularly friendly towards carers and, you know, parents of, you know, kids who were chronically ill, had a disability. I don't know. I like to take some ownership myself. You know, you're young, you're naive, you don't understand how it goes yet. You're still sort of new to it, so that probably didn't help as well. But I'd say that I find that later down the track that there's been more pleasant experiences that we can talk about. But yeah. Someone else can take a turn.
What you saying about you're young and you don't know what's going on? Isn't that I think that's the perfect time for nurses to sit down with you and explain this is what's going on. This is what your daughter is living with. This is what you need to know. And I'm only saying this because I used to work at Monash in Melbourne, which was a specialist centre for a particular issue, and I spent a lot of time with the parents, getting them, you know, explaining what the treatment was and explaining that while it sounded horrendous, it wasn't the end of the world and the kids were ultimately going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, like your surgery, the last time you had surgery, they were like so much better and stuff. Well, they just let me hoist everything, like, you know what you're doing. It's probably better that you just do it yourself, other than getting a nurse and then they getting 4 other nurses to come and help transfer when you know you've been doing this for like a bit, so you could just do it.
I suppose that's the other thing too. When you go into the hospital, you don't know that. Oh, well, not everybody knows, even the nurses. I mean, they don't know how to take care of somebody who's got a particular disability or all the things they need. So it's not a matter of just go into hospital and there fend for yourself. So it's good when they say, you know, I want to help you, help us. I know that there's a Ryde Hospital. Do you remember when you were in there? They had created a program where they would bring you a nice...
until they came.
Oh, the last time you had, yeah. When you had to go right then, and it's probably better that I just take you than wait.
Yeah, but yeah, they had that program where they would provide meals for carers, and they had those nice comfy, or hopefully they were comfier. They've got these comfy type of chair bed type things or something, and bring you a pillow and, you know, so you could sleep in the room there. So they had a really nice program. It was, and do you remember the lady came and talked to you about what your experience was and, you know, if there was anything that you needed? So that was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Often whenever I was in, I'm pretty lucky because my mum never had to stay, but I remember some of the doctors and some of the nurses were like, one time we had a doctor who said, well, why don't you just put it down the G tube? Well, that's why I've got a GJ tube. The G doesn't work. My tummy doesn't work. Oh, yeah, okay, but why don't you just put it down the J tube? Well, no, if we could put it down there, we wouldn't be here. Like, hello, silly people. And do not let the dog out.
Nurse, Mira's phone is ringing.
They want to be on a podcast.
Yeah, you want to be in the podcast?
But also, I've had some of the crazy ones. One of them, like, when I was in the kids hospital, they always, and they still do it in the adult, they always wasn't my mum. But in the adults now, they're a little bit better, and they still want my mum, some of them, but some of them also go, like, I can go, oh, you can ring her if you want, or if you really want her, but why can't I tell you that? Or why can't even the nurses out there tell you? Because they know what's going on too. And usually that's what happens.
And I
It's
mean, you are
usually
38 years old, so...
Yeah, it's usually the pharmacist. They want to know what medicine I'm on, and they might want mum. And I go, well, mum's at work. Why can't I tell you I'm on true medicine of what they are? Oh yeah, tell me then.
So I guess, Lindsay, what's your experience like when somebody comes into who has a disability and they're on your, I'm not sure, what do they call it? You know how you have the shifts and you...
Well, quite often I will get patients with a disability coming in for an operation. And the good thing is now with having everything on the computer, you will actually, you know a little bit about your patients before you go round to see them. So you know if they're deaf, you can take your mask off and speak very clearly, and you make sure they bring all. What really gets me is the young nurses don't think things through. You make sure that patients bring all their communication aids to theatre. If they need their phone because they type on the phone what they want to tell you, please bring the phone with them. If they are incredibly short-sighted and can't see a thing without their glasses, keep the glasses on. And don't, for the love of anything, take some deaf person's hearing aids out, because we need to talk to them as they're going to sleep. And we are perfectly capable of taking hearing aids out and keeping them safely for the duration of surgery.
So, Ellen, didn't you say you have your hearing aids taken off you before you go to surgery?
Mm.
And so that makes it more difficult for you to be able to speak to the person.
I want to be able to do my job and have a chat with the person in my anaesthetic bay, however they want to chat to me. Whether they want to, like, I've got patients who sometimes will write things down, and that's great. That's what we do.
And so once somebody is coming back out of anaesthetic, then they can just pop their
They can pop their hearing
aids
aids, pop the glasses back on, have the phone beside them if they've got voice to text in their phone. Yeah, absolutely. And it's making sure that if they need a support person for any reason, that the recovery knows about the support person and the support person is good to go. Like, I don't have a problem with anyone bringing a support person into the anaesthetic bay with them.
Because that's happened before as well, where they've said, oh, you can't have somebody with you, which is just silly, because what are you going to do? You don't know how to take care of them. So
I know, it's like there are policies, but can we just be a little bit flexible? And if it's going to help the patient, and sometimes it's more, you can see how anxious a family member is, and it's like, yeah, just come through. Let's make life easier for everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't allow them to not to.
Good. Perfect.
And they're like, I need them because you don't know my yes and no's. It's like, they calm me down when I'm having anxiety. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? Stand and look at me, yeah.
I know, it doesn't make sense a lot of the time. But I guess I think often about there's so many different people working in the hospital, and as you just said, Lindsay, there's obviously a lot of policies as well. But they just don't work for everybody.
You've got, the policies are fabulous, and yeah, 9 times out of 10 you do what's written down, but you have to look at the person in front of you and think what is going to help them the most.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that level of critical thinking, I don't mean to sound terribly old-fashioned, but in the olden days it was always think about the patient. It's all about the patient. What do they need? It wasn't, tick a box, go between the flags.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's changed? And I mean, you also were nursing in Scotland.
Yeah, I
weren't you?
also was nursing in a different country. Yeah. And then also, I suppose, I still have family members with a disability, so it's not particularly strange to me or anything that would, surprise me on my day-to-day.
So I have a bit of a strange question for you, since you work in the anaesthetic ward. Why do they want you to be calm before you go under, and what's with the counting backwards from 10?
There's no need to count backwards from 10. The reason they want you to be calm going under is you wake up the same way you go to sleep.
Ah.
And
So if you go to sleep anxious, you wake up anxious.
You wake up anxious.
When I wake up, I feel like I've just been asleep. But also, it only depends what I've had. If I've had twilight, I actually feel like I haven't had anything. Like, I just feel like I've just woken up. I'm like, oh, I'm in recovery. Like, the last time I did my shoe, I'm like, oh, I think I'm done. I'm in here. Like, because usually after an anesthetic, I will feel like I'm going to vomit or have a bit. After twilight, I just wake up and I'm like, I've been asleep all night and I'm not refluxing at all. And I'm like, oh, if I'm not refluxing, I guess they didn't need to give me the anaesthetic. Because with that one, there was a talk of they would give me it if I needed it. So obviously I didn't need it because I woke up not refluxing more.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wonderful.
So you're saying that basically if somebody goes under really distressed, then they're likely going to wake up from that really distressed?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To the extent that if we have children, like the recovery nurse, sometimes the going to sleep with children is really unpredictable, and sometimes they will be wonderful right up until the last moment, and then they'll fight with everything they've got, despite all the preparation we do with them.
That's why some people wake up screaming, because they're always screaming when they're getting put under.
Yes.
They never get that with me. They have to give me anxiety meds right before I go
To surgery, yeah, and that chills her out a little bit.
That makes sense. Quite a lot of people would actually benefit from that. Oh, sorry.
Surprise! We're moving around. So when these guys were talking about the the counting backwards and the and all of those things in surgery, I thought, I have a bit of a story. So I started telling it when they finished, and they're like, yeah, jump in and share the story. So I'm Nikki. I'm one of Sev's carers for a couple of years here and there. And I just had a baby 4 months ago. So do you want me to start with the Hashy B story?
Oh, please.
Hashy B, the hash brown. Yeah, so I went into labor and I was it was kind of stalled. It was taking forever. For about 9-10 hours I was sitting there waiting for it to kind of progress, and I was at Royal North Shore overnight. And I haven't eaten, like I was kind of exhausted, I was tired, I was like, oh, whatever. And it looked like it wasn't really gonna go anywhere anytime soon. So So yeah, I was like, do you mind if I like, you know, if my husband gets me like a small hash brown, like a bit of a hashy bee. So I'm like, shout out to Seb, you know, loves a good potato, loves a good potato cake. We love eating them together. But yeah, so I'm like, can we get a hashy bee in here? You know, just so there's something in my tummy if I'm gonna be here for who knows how long. And both the midwife and the nurse there were like, yeah, absolutely, a little bit's fine, it's okay. So I had like a little bit of a hash brown, and about 2 hours later they decided that I need to go and have an emergency C-section. So yeah, they go wheeling me in, you know, they're giving me the morphine, like I was like flopping around on the tray, like, you know, I was really shaky. My husband was like really worried, and like the operating staff were like, oh, has she eaten anything lately, or when's the last time she ate something? And my husband's like, oh, she had food 2 hours ago. And he said that he saw the young chickie, the anesthesiologist, mouthing, what the fuck, to another surgery staff. I mean, like, bit unprofesh.
Yeah, you're supposed to mouth stuff like that behind your mask. You're not supposed to, you know, do that out in the open.
Oh, is that why they have the mask? So they have
so we can eat lollies, yeah, and mouth things.
yeah, mouth under your breath, eat lollies, like, oh, these guys. But yeah, that's what I thought, you know, but afterwards, they said, my midwife said, oh, there's no way to make sure, you know, that you're ever fasting, but yeah, so that was fun.
And an emergency Caesar, whether the patient had eaten or not, you would always take extra precautions, so give their cricoid a little press as they're going off to sleep, just to be 100% sure.
Oh, so do you reckon afterwards they would have given me that nice little...
They would have given you that nice little push, yes.
Wait, Sabriel needed you there. Because I did have the thingy, the tube that you guys said, and oh yeah, the counting, is that what you say? Come here. When you guys did mention the counting backwards, so I did have to count backwards. I think from 5.
See, I'm just take a few nice deep breaths person.
I think they said, because you can't count it out, they said, they said, oh, just take deep breaths and stuff, but I think the counting down is like so you can relax a bit.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I'm gonna reach like 1 or 0 and then I'll fall asleep. But you don't.
I was worried, like, what happens if I count back from 10 and I get to 1 and then 0 and I'm still up? Like, do I start again or like a higher number? But they told me to start from 5 and like 5, 4.
You just do negatives. You start doing negative numbers. See how far you go. Anything you like to add? You fight it. You don't like getting put under, no. I think it's like because you're like, I don't have control of going to sleep. I don't like this very much. I'm gonna see if I can fight every step I take. Because that happened the last time you had surgery. She's just looking at me. I'm like, go to sleep. And she's like, okay. It took you a bit, and then they had to do the eye thing to see if you were asleep.
Oh yeah.
And touch it. And then she's like, she's asleep now. I'm like, cool.
Well, instead of counting back, he was like, how many? Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. So you get up to, it was had a counting.
No, I could see on her face, like, she was like, I'm like, go to sleep. And then finally you're like, okay. But you don't remember that because of the anxiety meds and stuff, so you don't remember fighting. Oh, you do remember it, but you don't remember go to sleep. That was fun. Because even Dr. David was going to come over and go to sleep.
He's going to start calling over random members of the hospital, start telling you to go to sleep until it works out, okay.
Yeah. Anything else anyone would like to add? Any other stories?
What's the when I woke up and I couldn't move. That's the thing. And I couldn't move my body at all, and I couldn't breathe, so I was panicking a bit. And it was one of those dear moments I thought of my friend Sev here to help me communicate, because I couldn't, my husband was there and he kept asking me things, and I couldn't, because I can do some keyboard sound from my job at a school, so I could have maybe used that if I wasn't like that. So yeah, I was using Sev's communication of looking up for yes and shaking my ass for no. So thank you for that.
Did they give you a drug and you very quickly felt better?
Afterwards?
I mean, when you woke up and you couldn't feel anything, did they?
I'm not sure what happened really afterwards, because it's all happening, it hits you that now there's a child and all of that. I think it was the tube, I couldn't breathe, and then once they took it out, I could breathe again, but I was panicking because nobody told me that was gonna happen. They just told me they not even supposed to put you under for a C-section, they just had to do it to, once the baby was out, to sort of put me back together again. So yeah, good times this year. It's all happening.
I think from over here, I'd say lesson to us all is that we probably need to go to Lindsay's work and have her be our nurse. We need.
Well, funny, one of the things I really want to do is education, particularly for kids and parents having surgery, like what to expect in the operating room. But it sounds like I also need to do education for nurses, what to expect when your patients have X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, those 30 years of experience.
Yeah, I was
go a long way.
I was so delighted that one of the last Friday afternoons I worked, I was actually working with non-verbal patients, and it was nice to know that I knew what I was doing and could look after them fairly well. I managed to make one of the girls relax by she was really, really nervous, by asking her whether her eyelashes false or not. And I'm like, are they real? And she's like,
yeah, the art of distraction.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, I kind of needed to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get you out there training people so we all get a better experience.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, midwives too, because that was the only time I've been in hospital in my entire life. That was the first time, and I had learned absolutely no idea what was gonna go on and happen. So yeah.
We'll cut back to the others.
So here's another strange question for you. In the days where we had to count back from 10, and I think some people still do it.
Yeah.
What's the furthest somebody's gotten?
Honestly, I don't know, but I do have a really bad story, because I used to work with a lovely anaesthetist who liked to sing his paediatric patients to sleep. The only problem was his song was "There was an old woman who swallowed a fly."
Oh no.
And we had a child who took a really long time to go to sleep, and the child eventually drifted off to sleep as Richard cheerfully sang, "She's dead, of course, she swallowed a horse."
Oh dear. Oh, that's not a good choice of song.
To be honest, we only normally get up to the spider or the horse, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, right, okay. Well, now we know why. We've got it straight from the nurse's mouth.
That's why I much prefer the team, which is, I much prefer the team where we sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," and if the patients are deaf, we'll sign it to them so they can join in with us as we're drifting off to sleep.
Oh, that's so lovely.
It's a team that I've worked together for years to do that.
Yeah, it's usually the same team, like Sev's surgeon, Dr. David Kowalski. He has his team of nurses and assistants.
I know him, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a small world.
Yeah, he used to work, we used to work together in one of the private places I worked in.
Shout out to Dr. David. We happen to watch it.
I believe he does, yeah. He's really good. When we were leaving last time we got discharged, he was just making his rounds. Like, if I can't see them before they go, just let them go. Like, I'm not going to stop them. But it just so happens he caught us when we were leaving. And he's like, oh, how is it?
He has really helped me.
Yeah. He's like...
It's so good. It's so good when you, particularly a gynae surgeon, when you've got one that you trust.
Well, on a thing I just heard the other day on the news, I think it was, apparently there's going to be more funding put towards endometriosis treatments for women. So that's pretty good.
There's a lot more funding going into endometriosis, and there's a lot more funding going into women's health in general.
Yeah, they gotta do it for like people with IVF, and if someone needs a hysterectomy, then they gotta.
I see him again in 2 weeks.
Oh, well, you can tell him to check out the episode. Bye, Dr. David.
I thought I had a dog then.
No dogs. Well, actually, that's another topic with the dogs. I believe sometimes, depending on how things go, that there was actually a lady I know of. She was not very pleasant, but she was dying in hospital, and she loved her dogs, and they let them bring in the dogs to come sit with her on the bed. So, she could be patting them.
I'm actually very pro the dogs in hospital and being around patients who are sick, because my cousin who had MS, and by the time he died, he was fed. He was bedbound and he was fed by a peg tube. But his little dog was a little Jack Russell, and he basically, I don't think the dog was supposed to be constantly by my cousin's side, but he was. It really cheered him up. Mum would always say, that dog, I'm scared the dog's going to pull something out, but the dog never pulled any tubes out, so it really wasn't a problem.
No.
And yeah, we've got this trained therapy dogs that go into ICU and all sorts.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. I guess that was the point of Noki and Olivia as well. We were going to train her to be a Delta dog because she has quite a knack with people when they're feeling anxious. But unfortunately, COVID hit. And then they weren't sending people in at all, which I thought was a terrible shame, because we had more instances with people being in the PEC ward, which is the psychiatric wards, and I think that would have been nice for them to be able to have that visit from a dog, and help them calm down. So, and then it just kept going on and on and on, and 3 years in a dog is a lot. And now it's kind of like, it's not really fair to her anymore to do that. She's 8, about to turn 9, and so, she should just enjoy life. And I don't know, maybe it's still possible, I don't know.
She's putting up with these youngins running around.
Yeah, she's not very happy with all the puppies, the 1 and 2 year olds.
But she's quite placid.
She is. I think her and Noki's gotten along after the loss, since.
We always find the girls tend to be underneath my feet all the time while I'm working, while the 2 boys are wrestling in the lounge room. It's like, you 2 stop trying to kill each other. And it's not like we're doing it. They seem to separate themselves like that.
I think the girls are like, they're too noisy. We don't want to put up with this.
I know.
I mean, Noki can go down and play with them if she really wants to, but then she's like, nah, I've got to go in here. You guys have fun.
That's right, yeah, so she's quite funny. But anyway, we digress there. The doggy's in the hospital.
I used to love when I was in hospital. I used to love the therapy dogs. I used to love them in the children's hospital. And now, one of my friends from my walking group, she's become the chaplain at the Prince of Wales Hospital, and I'm like, I know my family's not Anglican, but if I'm ever in, can I request you to bring your dog in, because she has a guide dog? And she's like, I think you could. maybe because I've got on Facebook, so I'm like, if I send you a message and just tell you I want you to come up there, she goes, yeah, I would come up.
And I think that's another thing, I guess, you talk about is the other services that are available in the hospital. And I have to say, now that you brought that up, Ellen, about the chaplain, I think a few times we used to have people come in who would like the chaplain, and as you say, it doesn't matter what religion you were, they just come and talk to you and check that you're okay, and
Yeah.
that really was quite a nice thing. And
No,
I
I
think
like
sometimes they
that.
had the pink ladies
It
used
didn't
to
even
sometimes
matter.
come.
Yeah, Prince of Wales have still got pink lady candy stripers that push a little trolley around,
Oh,
yeah.
that's nice.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, but having those
Yeah.
volunteers come in sometimes, I mean, I haven't seen it happen much lately, but occasionally on some of Sev's days, we used to have somebody come around and say, oh, would you like us to sit with her or something like that, and you know, so you could go take a shower or something. And I think that's actually quite helpful, because it's hard to even, I don't know how you felt, Heather, but it's hard to go take a shower even when you can't leave them, you know.
Yeah.
So
Shouldn't the nurses be?
I know what hospital you're working in, Lindsay, but not the ones we are.
How to make sure that I am okay, but I think she is too much a Noki does in a way understand how to make sure that I am okay, but I think she is too much a hunter dog for me more than being a pet.
Yeah, that's true.
She's just a cannonball full of fun.
She is.
Yeah.
She might calm down as she gets a bit older. Anyway. Yeah, so I think sometimes, Heather, you know, you pretty much, Leo, message you and say, have you eaten? No.
No.
Yeah, oh, okay. So I think it's really, even though you're in a hospital with nurses, you actually still need family support to try to get your own needs met while you're in there.
Yes, because like sometimes some hospitals don't bring around like the food menu. They'll just bring it around for Sev, and I'll be like, what about me? I'm here too. And they're like, oh, we'll bring you one, and it's not like until way later. And I'm like, I'll just eat this apple. That Sev's not gonna eat. Oh, delicious.
And depending on the time as well, often there's nothing even open.
Yeah, I'm horrified at how early our work, the front of house cafe shuts. I mean, you can get stuff from the back, but it's not quite easy to access. But I know in Scotland we had all kinds of programs that we would basically give the family subsidised meals at the canteen where the staff were, and the meals were actually really nice there.
Yeah.
You know, to make sure that the families were looked after. I think because, particularly where I trained, we had people that would be coming down from the Highlands and Islands, so the family were with them. They were there for days, and it wasn't like they could go home. So
Yeah.
we really had to. Well, not we had to look after them, but we wanted to look after them.
Wow. Well, maybe we should try the Scottish experience.
Well, having said that was 30 years ago. It might not be as crash hot now.
Yeah, well, you just don't know.
No.
I think sometimes it almost feels a bit like the luck of the draw as well.
And look, to be honest, sometimes it depends on the staff you're working with that day.
Yeah. What, when we were in the UK? But that was only like in London, it wasn't in Scotland.
So
You would
tell
say.
me then, I have unfortunately had the really, really cranky nurse at night who seemed to be irritated by absolutely everything. So, yeah, I don't know, is it too much to expect that if you're on night duty, you know, it might not be the best thing, but could you not take it out of us?
I remember one time I was actually at work, maybe my I had a surgery that could only be done there by my old surgeon, who was really good. And it wasn't his fault. It was, I don't know if it was one of his registrars or residents, or it was just one of those normal on-call doctors. But he comes in, looks at my central line, I was on home TPN at the time, and he comes in and does something. Doesn't wash his hands, doesn't do anything, touches my line. I don't even know if he was meant to touch it. Like maybe someone said, oh, we want a normal blood test, and they couldn't get it on my vein, maybe he came in to do that. Or something, maybe.
But he still should have A, washed his hands, B,
Yeah.
worn gloves, and
Yeah.
C,
Yeah, he wasn't wearing gloves, he wasn't wearing any of that.
It's like you just killing Lindsay.
He took the blood, or whatever, and Mum goes, oh, you know, you're supposed to wash your hands.
Oh,
And he ignored her, so she went and reported it to, I think she actually reported it to my actual surgeon and just said, oh, you know, or to one of the nurses or someone, and just said, oh, this doctor came in and did this thing, and I went, oh, well, no, that's not good, and they sorted him out.
good.
And another time I had a doctor, I was in Randwick in my normal children's ward, and I was in because I was on PPN and Mum had to go in the hospital. Dad could not, because at that time we didn't know that it was the dementia, but he had problems which meant he could not, like we didn't know it was the autoimmune thing either, but he had problems which meant that he just couldn't learn how to do things, and my TPN was one of them. And because he hadn't learned it and Mum was sick, I think she rang up one of the CNCs and she said, yeah, bring her in and we'll just take care of it. So then I had one of these after hours doctors come in one night and tell me I needed a new tube. I wasn't in for that. I needed a surgery or something. And one of my friends I was in with, she heard it, she told her mum, because they were old friends, like I've been in with them lots of times. Her mum actually said to someone, she asked me to pay their doctor because she knew that their general surgeon worked with my general surgeon, and they all knew me anyway. So she's like, page him, get him to come up. And so he came up and he goes, no, you definitely do not need a new tube. What are they on about?
That must have been so frightening for you, being in hospital because your mum was sick.
Yeah.
And someone coming up and randomly telling you it was time for surgery. That's awful.
Yeah.
So Ellen, what's your TPN? So
It was
people
the total
understand.
parental nutrition, directly through the line. It wasn't. I wasn't able to tolerate any formula from when I was about 12 to when I was about 17. Was tolerant, but at a very, very low rate.
And so the only way that they could feed you any nutrition was through that central line.
Yeah.
Through your veins, yeah.
And then they put me on that vitamin, which was the powder used to mix up.
Oh yes, I remember the powder.
Yeah.
Scott accidentally drank it once.
I can just, poor Scott, I've never drank it, but from the smell of it, I can only imagine.
I think you said that happened, yeah.
I think I went on to that osmolite or something, or isosalt or something with the can. And then what they do is the manufacturers would change something, and that would affect my tummy. So then I'd go in the hospital and I'd go, okay, let's try this one.
Do you remember when we had to carry the cans in everyone's suitcase to America?
Yeah.
We just popped a whole bunch of cans in. And that was, 10 years
Yeah.
after 9/11? No, what was it? But you know all the extra security, so you can't take through liquid.
Yeah.
And then we had to try to prove that she needed to be fed with these cans of liquid.
And you need to take them on the fly so that, just in case. Oh my goodness, yes.
Speaking totally off topic, when we arrived in America, Ellen here was like, oh, why is everyone so tired? Because Ellen actually had taken off her hearing aids. She had a tube which I just kept filling up every time the alarm went off. So she was just good. She slept the entire way there. The rest of us were all doing the work. And she gets there and like everyone's falling on the bed, passing out. And she's like, "Why is everyone so tired?"
My mum says there has to be a silver lining to everything, and if she's on a particularly dodgy train journey with conversations she'd prefer not to be hearing, she just takes her hearing aid out and reads her Kindle. And she gets home.
There's a few advantages there, right? Anyway, we digress again. Just thought that was a bit of a funny story.
There you go, Kieran. If you're watching, you don't want to hear people's conversations, just your hearing aids.
There you go. Has its benefits. Although I don't know, I'll keep my hearing.
Yeah, I like to know what people are saying. I'm really nosy.
So, Heather, what about you with your experience being rather new to this game? How have you found it?
Well, there was one time when we went to North Shore Hospital and we went to the emergency. And we went back into like the emergency thing to like be kept overnight, and Sev needed to be transferred. And instead of getting other nurses and a proper sling, they just used Sev's sling, and she fell and she hit her head. Now, one of Scott's friends from SES works there, and she's friends with like administration, I believe. And she came and checked. Yeah, she came and checked to make sure to see what happened, because I'm pretty sure you guys told her, and she's like, "I'm coming down." And she asked us how everything was, and they didn't do a CT with Sev. They didn't check if like everything was okay. And right next to us, the bed next to us, he fell over at home, and he was getting like a full CT check to like check everything, and Sev didn't get anything.
And then they wrote all the reports saying that she fell over at home, because remember I came up to the ward and they said, "Oh, so she fell at home." No, she fell in your emergency department. And then when you went to the doctor and the report said, "Oh, so you had a fall at home." No, got dropped by the staff in the emergency room.
And I'm pretty sure the head nurse found out that none of the nurses in emergency have done their manual handling training.
But we all need to do manual handling. Like I've done manual handling training of how to pick someone up from the floor. Like people, I don't make a habit of picking people up from the floor because my patients are normally on the trolleys or on the operating table. But you still need to know how to lift safely. And if you're an ED, you're lifting people every day. You need to know how to do it properly.
Yeah. Well, apparently that slipped through the cracks somehow, probably due to the whole COVID situation.
I was seeing stars.
Yeah, you had like a concussion.
Yeah.
They didn't even check if you had a concussion or anything. They didn't come during the night to check on you.
And they wanted to send you home.
They should have CT scanned you, and they should have done neurolobes to see if you were okay.
Yeah, I've had a concussion before, and people did this for me when I had it. And I was trying to get said, remember your name is this. It's like, do you know where you are? And doing that, and she's like, yes, I know that. It's like, why are you asking me these questions? It's like, because I need to know. But
that was crazy.
Yeah, the nurse is like, they haven't done their manual handling training. Bless you. It's like, let's do that, and all did it. But then they did I think they did an investigation on why it happened, and they basically blamed me.
Yeah.
What? They're like, oh, it's your wife's fault that you fell. Because it's like, but you guys are the authority here. You should have said, let's get more nurses, let's get a proper thing for this hoist. Because I said, oh, if you guys feel if you feel confident enough that us two can do it, then yeah. I'm like, how about you get other nurses and a proper sling?
Yeah, well, it was a very unpleasant experience, and sorry you had to go through that. I've got to say, Heather, It sounds terrible. But I'm going to say I actually did not like having to do those hospital stays. And thank you dearly that you're the one staying there and not me. It really throws you off. It just, it would throw me off, like just the whole sleep thing, and it'd take weeks to kind of recover from that lack of sleep and the noise that's going on around you all the time. And I suppose the one thing is that when you are somebody's full-time carer, you don't just come home to have a rest, because you're still looking after somebody all the time and going about the normal duties of life, right? And so being thrown off in the hospital, while it's kind of necessary, if it could be a little bit more pleasant and you didn't end up so exhausted and you didn't have everything turned topsy-turvy on you, you probably come out in a much better state. But I don't know, often being unwell followed a hospital visit, probably because of that lack of sleep and the you know, nutrition and all those type of things as well. So yeah, so sorry it's you now, but I'm so happy it's not me. But I still like to help where I can, of course, you know. I feel at least that the least I could do is bring you the food and make sure you can get in a shower or something.
Because I remember last time Sev's surgery, she was in recovery. I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know, 6:30 at night. I haven't eaten anything other than like chocolate from the vending machines and a Coke.
Oh, very
nutritious.
Yeah.
And I'm like just sitting there going, I'm very hungry. And then you like message saying that you're here. I'm like, oh, can like her mum and my mother-in-law come in with food? And they're like, yeah, it's all good. It's like no one's here right now, so
yeah.
I'm like, awesome. Just eating.
Often when I'm in, and I don't blame anyone for it, I'll often get the food, and like everyone knows I can't really like. Hospital, you're not gonna get sweet potato chips and carrot butter in there.
They're the only foods you can eat.
And I would get given like jelly or something, and I'm like, I don't eat. But sometimes I'll have someone that knows, and they're like, oh no, that's right, takes it away. And that's what I like. I like the ones that know it, because it's like, you know, the person, like it might be the board person or someone, whoever is doing that, and I'm not, like, because they recognise me, they're like, oh yeah, that's right.
It is a big waste of food.
No, because some of them, I don't think they read the meal by mouth. Some of them don't, and I like them, and I get they're all busy and they have to get it all done, but sometimes I wish they just read.
Look, it's a lot of people genuinely don't get that some people don't eat, because I had a foster boy that didn't eat, and it was really hard to explain that I'm not stopping him eating, he just doesn't eat, because people would offer us things when we were out and about, and it was really hard to say, well, no, don't give him the chocolate because he doesn't actually eat. They thought I was trying to stop him having the chocolate, but I wouldn't have cared. If I thought he'd been able to eat it, he could have.
Now, do you remember, Ellen, when you had your tube, were having problems with the tube, and then the doctor says to you, oh, why don't you just give us some food?
Yeah.
It's like,
And that wasn't that long ago, but why don't you just give her some food? Well, why would she be having this tube if she could eat the food?
And the thing with the little boy as well was he didn't look thin or anything, in actual fact he was quite chunky. So he looked as though he ate, but he didn't.
It throws you off, doesn't
It throws you off because, yeah, there's a chunky toddler reaching his hand out, but it's like, don't give him the food because he's, like, the most he'll do is lick it and throw it back down again.
But I think the thing is that in some cases, like, you want to eat the food, but you can't because of what it's going to do to the system, and I think maybe that throws people off, that they can't comprehend that somebody's digestive system can't actually
it's not something that
something that
you're choosing, it's something that your body's doing?
It's like like we had an experience like with someone that didn't know what non-verbal means, and they were like in the hospital. I'm like, you know what verbal is, right? We're doing it.
The big difference I found in adult hospital to children's hospital is you're never with the same person twice. So like in the kids hospital, I always had my friends that I was in with. In the adults, there was only one time I was in with someone twice. And that time, the second time I was in with them, because like they'd been in with me 2 weeks before, and the mum had heard them talking about my shoes, so when she saw me, she's like, "Oh, you have a son, that's good." And I'm like, "What are you doing? You're still here?" And she's like, "No, we're back too."
Yeah, you do get to
You
meet
don't get
people,
that
don't
in the
you?
adults, huh?
You were saying,
And then she told my mum, and she said, "Oh, I'm happy the tube went well." And then, they just sort of, and then we haven't seen them again. But it was someone that remembered me. It was the only person that I've ever seen that remembered me. And sometimes also in the adult hospital, it can be really crazy, because sometimes I'll get stuck in a room, like I'm the only girl or lady, right, and I get 3 older men, like say 70 and 80. In my 20s, those people felt really, really, really old. Now I'm scared. Now I'm 40 next year. They're not as old as I thought they were. They're still old, but Grandma's older, she's 98. And they might still be a bit old and crazy when they get undressed with the curtains open and get changed.
oh, the things you have to experience.
It's hard. Yeah, it's so hard. 'Cause we're trying to put people in appropriate wards, but sometimes they just aren't the beds, and yeah.
I've got to say the one plus with coming with so much baggage.
you guys throw this in a room.
It's like, you know what? You've got so much stuff here, wheelchairs and commodes and bags everywhere. We'll probably just put you in that single room over there. All right. So that was at least a bonus. It's much harder when you're in a room with 4 people and you're taking up half the ward with your stuff.
With me, it's all my charger, like my hearing aid charger, my iPad charger, and I don't really take my pump charger in because I just use their pump. But last time I had that in there, and like say the hearing aid charger, the cord is the same colour as their pump charger. So sometimes one of the nurses will be like, I just want to unplug this charger so I can plug the drip or the pump back in.
So you're hogging up all the
plugs.
plugs.
And then my hearing aid charger, which was charging, and they're like, whoop. And then they try and juggle it around. But some of them only have like 1 or 2 power points, whereas others have 5, and I think that's a bit crazy. Because why can't you have 5 for each bed?
Well, I work in a hospital where one of the theatres was supposed to be a storeroom, and it's really obvious when you're in there that it's actually been used as something it wasn't designed to be.
I suppose you've just got to go where you have to go at the time.
Yeah,
right?
you just go with it.
Do you have to leave soon, Ellen? It's almost 3.
Yeah, about 3.
Yeah, it's like 5 to.
You're gonna get the Uber around 3, 4:30, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it's almost 3 now.
Now you're just thinking because you know.
It's 6 to 3.
Well, we better wrap up our fun conversation here.
I mean, unless you guys want to continue without Ellen, but we can end it if we want to.
But also I do like the adult where I go, but the really good thing is when I go to the medical imaging, everyone knows me from like so long. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, good.
There was like one time in recovery, I think it was for your hysterectomy surgery. Dr. David messaged me and said, "Oh, she's out of surgery. She should be in recovery like soon, like now or like in a couple of minutes." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll go to the recovery door," and I rang and it's like, "Oh, is Savage, my wife here?" And they're like, "No, I don't think so." It's like, "Come in and we'll check the computer," and like the nurses like just go, "You're not supposed to be in here. Why are you in here?" So I'm like, I just asked permission from like this other nurse that's checking the computer if my wife is coming in or not. It's like, I'm just seeing if my wife is in recovery yet. Can you chill out? I wouldn't be in here otherwise.
I think that is so bad. Like when I see someone that's maybe somewhere they're not supposed to, I'm not sure they're supposed to be there. I'm always like, how can I help you? Where are you going? You know,
it's like I'm already talking to a nurse already.
Like if you're dealing with someone, I'm not going to come up and start.
It's like, why come up to me? It's like, you shouldn't be in here. Why are you in here? People are recovering. It's like, I'm looking for my wife that's supposed to be in recovery.
That's going to be recovering very soon.
They're recovering soon. Lindsay, I'm seriously thinking you need to do some training in nurses' attitudes here.
You're telling me that is one of the things I like. Yeah, that is one of the things that I'm very much like. Let's be kind to our patients.
Yeah.
It's also like when you had your pump at North Shore surgery the last time, your new one. They put in recovery. They put your wheelchair like in a spot where no one was going and stuff, and we were being moved to a different ward, or you were getting discharged or something. So I'm like, oh, I'll get the wheelchair and stuff. And like a nurse saying, it's like, you shouldn't be walking around. People are trying to recover. It's like, I'm getting my wife's wheelchair.
What did they think that you were? Were you like going up to the patients and staring at them and listening into the private conversations the recovery nurses were having with them?
I know. I turned on my wheelchair, and it's like, you should be walking around. What are you doing? It's like, I'm grabbing my wife's wheelchair because we're being transferred. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's like, what is
Okay, any nurses listening? Shout out, stop being so cranky. No, I mean, I get reasons for being cranky, but don't do it to the patient.
Ask them if it's like, oh, do you need a hand? Do you need any help? What are you looking for? Don't go, you shouldn't be walking around. Why are you walking around? It's like, I'm not staring at other patients.
I was thinking about something like
So leave me alone.
Because the thing is, when you're in hospital with a family member, you're already stressed. Like, you don't need people stressing you out more.
And I think that's the big issue as well, because for people working in the hospital, that's your workplace, which we know can be quite stressful. But for somebody who's in hospital, they don't probably want to be there because they're not feeling well, and you're not exactly at your best, right? So the fact that you've probably got two people who are a bit stressed here, you know, we have to try to make it work the best we can without making things worse, you know.
And I always feel like no matter what is going on for me, it's not my patient's fault. Like, they're not the ones that are, you know, it's not their fault that I haven't had lunch. It's not their fault that I'm going to be here till midnight tonight. It's just how it is, and you know, I'll just smile and have a chat with them.
Yeah, I think the same thing with even when I was, you know, doing support work and running the disability service. You know, whatever happened during the day and in my personal life is not really the people's fault that I'm working with, so that should probably stay at home while I'm working with people here, you know. So yeah, it's can be challenging, but it's just that kind of industry that you're in, you know. So
it's like at the end of May, I'm having my first ever surgery, so that's great.
Yeah, so yeah, you're going to be in for the fun surgery. Yeah. Anyway, we'll be there to take care of you and make sure you're alright.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go over pre and post-op care with you and anything you want, because I'm really into getting patients properly prepped for surgery. Mainly because so many rock up. I heard about fasting, but I thought I'd just have a porridge anyway. That's not how it works, people.
So maybe we should say why. What is the point? Why do you want people not to eat before surgery?
You want people not to eat before surgery because you are putting a tube down the throat to breathe for them, and if they have eaten before surgery, there is a fair chance they might vomit.
And so when you say fasting, you mean not eating, right?
I mean not eating. I mean sips of water only. Possibly black coffee 4 hours before, but that's black coffee. That's not almond lattes.
No food, no milk.
No food, no milk. Oh, I've actually seen people feeding the children biscuits in the holding bay because. This is a great one because they thought if they didn't give them their bottle that would be okay, but they give them some rusks instead.
But you're still giving them food.
That's still food, yeah.
Yeah, it was a language issue. We were horrified and had to send them back to fast properly.
So when somebody is sick, if they are sick while they're under,
They've got the tube in, and if we think they're likely to be sick while they're under, there's a way when they're going to sleep that I will basically press on their neck so that the vomit doesn't come up.
wow. So it's actually quite dangerous.
It's actually
right?
quite dangerous,
I have a
and I
question.
basically know I've got mad
you get-
skills because I did it once, and then once we got the tube in, and my niece just put the NG tube down and then put her sucker in, we pulled up 2 litres, so obviously I was in the right place.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like, earn my money that day.
Wow, wow.
You were gonna say something, Mother?
I have a question. Do you get the tube when you get your teeth out?
So like wisdom teeth surgery, do you get a breathing tube? Is that what your question is?
If it's all of them, absolutely yes.
I only have 3, so.
Oh, that's pretty. That's both sides, Heather. So yeah.
So you're getting a tube.
Oh boy. Well, there's like different rules. I know you have to brush your teeth before. They said not to have any medication before you do it, even like the pill. So I'm like, okay. It's like, bring it with you. I'm like, okay. I'm probably gonna forget it. It's me. So drink sips of water, but nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm cranky when I'm hungry. I hope you're prepared.
I hope you're really on the list. That's all. That's best.
Because I got told I couldn't get my teeth out.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, that's okay. Just close it.
Just close it. Yeah.
Yeah, just close the lid.
So like, if you were supposed to get your wisdom teeth out, they will have to do it one at a time.
Why?
Because she can't have can you have a breathing tube? Oh, like what am I saying? It's like, you can get it.
She's had multiple surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, you can't have your wisdom teeth in because we can't have the tube in.
What?
It's like, it just sounds like you don't want to do it, to be honest.
That honestly does sound more like that. Yeah.
I know, it doesn't make sense really, does it? Anyway, if they become more of an issue, we'll have to deal with that as well, so.
They seem okay at the moment.
Yeah, you might have teeth like mine that, don't want to make you, they say wisdom teeth come up when you're 21 because you're wiser. Well, I don't know, in 50-something they still haven't come up that way.
Some people, I don't have wisdom teeth at all. When they did my final orthodontic x-rays, they were like, oh.
So you have none at all?
I have none at all. According to one of my doctor friends, I've evolved.
You've evolved, okay. Well, what do we need them for
And
anyway?
I was kind of thinking, that's lovely, but couldn't I have been born without tonsils as well? That would have saved me a lot of time and energy. And trips to hospital.
Yeah, my older sister Gemma doesn't have any tonsils. Not tonsils, wisdom teeth. She wasn't born in. This is just little pockets. of
No wisdom teeth?
No wisdom teeth. Kieran had all 4 wisdom teeth. I only have 3. I don't know about the other 2. But I know like people that they've had like 6 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, really? 6 wisdom teeth, wow, no.
I think Ellen has to go.
Anyway, Ellen.
We're just about to end anyway.
Thank you all for sharing your experiences. The next episode is about sports and disability with our friend Ben. Comment, like, subscribe. Stay pink and yellow.
Yeah.